net zero target ahead of Conferences of Parties 26, which is supposed to be held in Glasgow in the month of November. So in this article, let us understand what is net zero target. So with this, let's get into the first article. Rocket systems BrahMos add offensive punch along LAC. So this is our preparation towards if in case any misadventure by China. So India's military posture in the Tawang sector of Arunachal Pradesh has added an offensive punch with the army deploying Pinaka and Smudge long-range multi-barrel rocket launch system as well as BrahMos supersonic cruise missile in the region. So three things are ready with. One is Pinaka, other one is Smudge, other one is BrahMos. And the Pinaka and Smudge rocket systems have been deployed closer to the line of actual control. Then where is BrahMos? So BrahMos has also been deployed in the Tawang region of the Arunachal Pradesh. So this BrahMos is actually developed in collaboration with India. The name is the combination of two rivers. One is Brahmaputra, other one is Moskva, that is there in Russia. So which have a range of over 290 kilometers. So this is the capacity of BrahMos, gives the army the ability to hit targets deep inside China in case of any Chinese misadventure in this section. So if there is any misadventure in this section, we can actually use BrahMos. So it has the ability to reach 290 kilometers deep inside China. So next is Smudge. So it is actually procured from Russia completely. It is the longest range conventional rocket system in the army's inventory with a maximum range of 90 kilometers. So see the difference. BrahMos capacity is 290 kilometers and Smudge's capacity is 90 kilometers. A battery of 4 launchers can fire a salvo of 48 rockets in 40 seconds, neutralizing an area of 1,200 meters into 1,200 meters. So it has the capacity to fire in a salvo in the sense together 48 rockets in just 40 seconds, and it neutralizes the area of 1,200 meters into 1,200 meters at one go. And next one is Pinaka. So this is actually indigenously designed and developed by the DRDO, and it has the range of 38 kilometers. And a battery of 6 launchers of Pinaka can fire salvo in the sense simultaneously of 72 rockets in 44 seconds, thereby neutralizing an area of 1,000 meters into 800 meters. So it can launch 72 rockets in just 44 seconds. So these are the capacities of these rockets and missiles. So with this, let's go to the article number 2. 43 countries call on China at United Nations to respect Uyghur rights. So 43 countries have called on China to ensure full respect for the rule of law for the Muslim Uyghur community in Xinjiang in a statement read at the United Nations that sparked outrage from Beijing. The declaration signed by the United States as well as several European and Asian member states and others accused China of a litany of human rights violation against the Uyghurs. Litany is nothing but repeatedly they have been violating human rights, particularly against Uyghur Muslim community that is present in China. So including torture, forced sterilization and forced disappearances. And Beijing has long denied accusations. As always, they actually deny the accusations of ethnic cleansing against Uyghurs and other Muslim Turkic people in Xinjiang, where experts have estimated that more than 1 million people are incarcerated in camps. Incarcerated is nothing but imprisoned in camps. Now, to look at the map here, this is where we have Xinjiang region. So if you have seen the CPEC, actually, that is China-Pakistan economic corridor. It starts in Xinjiang region, that is from Kashnagar. It runs through the Pakistan and it opens up at Gwadar port in Pakistan. So in the same region, actually, we are actually looking at this particular issue. So with this, let's go to article number 3. So Ministry of Fisheries, this is related to Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying. So India's first bunny buffalo IVF calf. IVF is nothing but in vitro fertilization. In vitro is nothing but outside the body, and fertilization is done outside the body, not inside the uterus of the buffalo. So that is called as IVF. So with the birth of first IVF calf of buffalo breed, namely Bunny. So remember, this is not the name of the buffalo. Bunny is name of the breed in the country. India's OPU is nothing but ovum picked up in vitro fertilization work has reached the next level. This first IVF bunny calf is born out of 6 bunny IVF pregnancies established at the doorsteps of a farmer. So out of 6 pregnancies that have been actually created with the IVF, so this is the first one born in the breed of bunny. So with this, let's go to article number 4. Proposed Wildlife Act amendment surprises environmentalists. So let's see what are all the proposed amendments for Wildlife Act. The Wildlife Amendment Act 2021, among other things, proposes reducing the number of schedules and establishing a standing committee. So this is where the surprise is. They are trying to reduce the schedules. Now, what are the different schedules and all those things? We will be making a separate video on Wildlife Act, so you can get the complete details of all these schedules. So right now, just you understand that it is a kind of amendment is proposed to kind of reduce the number of schedules, and they have been trying to establish a standing committee of state board for wildlife. And the standing committee shall consist of the vice chairperson, the member secretary, and not more than 10 members to be nominated by the vice chairperson from amongst the members of the state board for wildlife, the draft says. There is also the insertion of new section that is called as 42A. Now, what is 42A is all about? So this is about surrender of wild animals and products. Any article or animal surrendered under this section shall become the property of the state government, and the provision of section 39 shall be applicable to it. So this is what is the latest proposed amendment. So this has actually surprised the environmentalists. So with this, let's go to article number 5. US successfully tests hypersonic missile technology. United States successfully tested hypersonic missile technology, a new weapons system which is already being deployed by China and Russia. So actually, if you know, there is something called a CTBT, that is Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. But the problem is, if you actually sign this, you cannot do these kind of experiments or testings. But the thing is, US has not ratified to CTBT. So that is the reason why they have been doing such tests. So this test demonstrated advanced hypersonic technologies, capabilities, and prototype systems in realistic operating environment. Hypersonic missiles, like traditional ballistic missiles, can fly more than 5 times the speed of sound. So that is measured in terms of Mach number. So what is Mach number? What are the different Mach numbers of subsonic, supersonic, hypersonics? I've done in the previous videos. You can check in the playlist to find out what is the meaning of Mach number. And Mach number of hypersonic missile is 5. That means it can fly in the speed of, it can move in the speed of 5 times that of sound. So, but they are more maneuverable than their ballistic counterparts, and can trace a low trajectory in the atmosphere, making them harder to defend against. So maneuverable in the sense they can be altered while they are in motion as well. And their ballistic counterparts, compared to their ballistic counterparts, the tracing is impossible. See, the trajectory of ballistic missiles. So once the ballistic missile is launched, we can actually check the path in which it is been moving. I mean to say, the trajectory of it can be traced, but hypersonic missile trajectory cannot be traced by any country. So it becomes an advantage for the host nation. The enemy nation cannot trace the hypersonic missile, so they can actually destroy the country, because other country cannot actually detect the same. So with this, let's go to article number 6. India signs $423 crore torpedo deal with the USA. Let's see what is torpedo. India has signed a $423 crore contract with the US for procurement of Mk-54 torpedo. So the name of the torpedo is Mk-54 torpedo. This is actually equipped to, so this will be added to P-81 maritime surveillance aircraft. So the purpose of adding to this is to enable it anti-submarine capability. So the torpedo, Mk-54 torpedo, has anti-submarine capability. So if there is any opposition or any counter attack, it actually acts opposite to that. So that's why it is called as anti-submarine capability. The Ministry of Defense signed the contract with the US government for procurement of Mk-54 torpedo and extendable, that is called as chaff and flares for the Indian Navy. What is chaff and flare? Chaff and flare is nothing but countermeasures used by military to avoid missile attacks. So this is one of the countermeasures. That's why it is called as anti-submarine capability. The US State Department had in April 2020 approved the Foreign Ministry sale to the Government of India of 16 Mk-54 all up-round lightweight torpedoes, lightweight torpedoes in short called as LWT, and 3 Mk-54 exercise torpedoes. So this is what is the agreement between India and USA with respect to torpedoes. So with this, let's go to article number 7. UK to invest 61.9 million euros for green energy in India. So the British government announced investment of 61.9 million euros to support the transition to clean energy and green tech infrastructure projects in India, as New Delhi insisted upcoming COP26, that is Conferences of Parties 26 at Glasgow in the United Kingdom, should initiate the process of setting the long-term climate finance for the post 2025 period. So this is actually to kind of transition from non-renewable energy to renewable energy. So in a way, I can say that clean energy and green tech infrastructure development projects in India, for that, they have come up with 61.9 million euros to invest in India. So British Foreign Secretary Liz Truss also announced 5 lakh euros UK research and innovation investment to build a new virtual network of UK and Indian labs working to promote net zero targets in key industries including gas, cement and metal. So this is actually the one more investment that is about 5 lakh euros with from UK research and innovation investment to build a new virtual network. So this is actually to build new virtual network between UK and Indian labs. So they're actually working to promote in the areas of glass industry, cement industry and metal industry to achieve net zero target. So in this video, we will also be understanding what do you mean by net zero target, and this investment is to for achieving this net zero target in these 3 industries. And the Army, Navy and Air Force. So 3 things together. One is Army, Navy and Air Force of India and UK started the first ever tri-services. So this is the first ever tri-services that is titled as Konkan Shakti 2021. So this is the joint exercise on October 21. It would go on for a week. So this is very, very important because this is first of its kind, because it involves both, all 3, that is Army, Navy and Air Force together. So that's why it is titled as, tri-series, and the name of the exercise is Konkan Shakti 2021. So India welcomed the UK COP26 presidency's 5 key initiatives. What are they? Sustainable land usage, energy transition, low emission vehicle transition, climate finance and adaptation. So with this, let's go to the article number 8. India weighs net zero target ahead of COP. So India has not entirely ruled out the possibility of agreeing to net zero climate target, though it will not budge on demanding that the developed nations make good their commitment. So we actually are asking a question that developed nations should actually meet their commitments. So we are not we are not worrying about announcing net zero target, but at the same time developed nations also make their commitments meet. So such as, what are the commitments? Such as providing an annual $100 billion to developing countries for mitigation and the impacts of climate change, facilitating technology transfer and putting in place a tangible market-based mechanism to activate moribund carbon credit market. So what are the commitments that are there with respect to developed countries? So since we have already done a video on this particular concept, so the Annex 2 countries. So if you want to find out, you can watch the video on Earth Summit. There we will know what is the exact meaning of Annex 1, Annex 2 and non-annex countries. So here I'll just discuss the issue. Annexed 2 countries are supposed to fund non-annexed countries in terms of taking policies with respect to reduction of this greenhouse gases emission. So that is the targeted value is around $100 million every year by developed countries to developing countries. So that is not done so far. So it is for the purpose of mitigating the impacts of climate change. At the same time, they actually have to facilitate technology transfer and putting in place the tangible market-based mechanism to activate moribund carbon credit market. Now, what is carbon credit market? So this is the maximum emission limit that is given to any particular country. So one carbon credit is equal to 1 tons of carbon dioxide or any other greenhouse gases. So ahead of 26th meeting of United Nations Conference of Parties, that begins in Glasgow on November 1. So the Prime Minister of our country will also be the part of the same. The focus on making the meet a success is to have all nations commit to net zero. The main focus of this particular summit is to, or conferences of parties, is to make all countries to commit to net zero or a year by when a country's fossil fuel emission will peak and at some point be neutralized by taking out excess carbon from the atmosphere. So the focus is either they should agree for the net zero commitment, or they should know the year by when the country's fossil fuel emissions will actually peak, the highest amount of carbon or fossil fuel burning at some point be neutralized by taking out excess carbon from the atmosphere. So net zero is actually taking off the excess carbon from the atmosphere. That is actually called as net zero. It is not that we stop all burning fossil fuels or coal or anything. That is practically impossible to make sure that the country is supposed to develop economically as well. So all countries doing this by 2050, scientists say, will mean a chance of restricting the average temperature rise by 1.5 degrees Celsius, provided emission falls around 45% of the 2010 levels by 2030. So according to scientists, so if all countries actually commit by at least 2050 to achieve net zero, so then we can expect that the average temperature rise of 1.5 degrees Celsius can be avoided. At the same time, the emission fall around 45% of what it was there in the year 2010 levels by 2030 can be achieved. That is only possible if all countries agree for the same. So this, however, means deep and significant cuts to fossil fuel use that can affect the development trajectory of India and other developing countries. So in order to do so, we have to deeply cut the usage of fossil fuels. As I told you before, it is practically impossible for countries like us, as I told you, developing countries, to actually follow the same, to cut out fossil fuels completely or significantly. A study by think tank Council for Energy, Environment and Water Project said that for India to achieve net zero target at least by 2070, it is not 2030 or 2050, at least according to this particular analysis, like think tank analysis, to achieve net zero target even by 2070, usage of coal, especially for power generation, will need to peak by 2040 and drop by 99% between 2040 and 2060. So to achieve net zero by 2070, use of coal, I am talking about, I am not talking about other fuels, I am talking about only coal, for especially for power generation, will need to peak by 2040. So we need to reach the highest level of consumption by 2040, and then we need to drop by 99% between 2040 and 2060. Only then we will be able to achieve net zero by 2070. So this is the analysis given by think tank. So, and other analysis is by the same, the consumption of crude oil. So here I have spoken about consumption of coal. Now I am speaking about consumption of crude oil across the sector will need to peak by 2050. So here coal needs to peak by 2040, but crude oil consumption needs to peak by 2050 and fall substantially by 90% between 2050 and 2070. So India weighs net zero target ahead of COP will insists that developed nations keep their pledges. So it is not that only developing countries need to do so. At the same time, India insisted the developed nations also have to keep their pledges. So India's long-term position in climate talks has always been that it will eschew the use of fossil fuels, but only gradually, because it cannot compromise on development, which is now primarily reliant on coal. So eschew is gradually or completely eradicate the use of fossil fuels. It is right now practically not possible, because we are dependent on coal for most of our energy. To an approximately around 70% of India's energy is dependent or derived out of coal. So also because it goes against the core principle of common but differentiated responsibility that requires developed countries which are responsible for climate crisis to take on deeper cuts and pay developing countries for the environmental damage from rising temperature, as well as finance their transition to clean energy sources. So here this statement is highlighted here: common but differentiated responsibilities. Now, what is the common goal? Common goal of every nation in the world is to achieve net zero or bring down the greenhouse gases emission. But the responsibilities should be different. It should not be same, because the volume of pollution that is caused by different countries will be different. So that's why it requires developed countries to actually take care of it more, because they are the big players with respect to the the involvement or contribution of them to climate crisis or increase in global temperature. So now let us understand what is net zero. So road to net zero. In 2015, over 190 countries committed to limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial level. Countries such as UK and France have already enacted laws to achieve net zero target by 2050. So two countries here, one is UK and France, they've already enacted their laws to achieve net zero target by 2050. This has put pressure on India, the third largest emitter, which has not been in favor of committing to a deadline. So since two of the countries have already committed that they will achieve net zero by 2050, this has actually put pressure on India, because we are already the third largest emitter. So we have not yet or not committed to give any deadline. So what is net zero? Net zero means committing to a year, so beyond which emissions will be balanced by taking an equivalent amount of greenhouse gases from the air. So it is not, as I told you before, net zero emission is not that we don't produce carbon dioxide or greenhouse gases at all. So there will be production of greenhouse gases or carbon dioxide or any other greenhouse gases. At the same time, we need to develop neutralization mechanism. So that is called as net zero. So we need to give a date by which we can achieve net zero is what is the demand. So India has maintained that committing to our target will require retiring coal plants and fossil fuel use overnight, and even then it will not guarantee that the temperature rise stays below 1.5 degrees. So in order to give this particular commitment, so we have to take retiring in the sense, so we are not supposed to use coal plants and burn fossil fuels. Even then we cannot guarantee that the temperature rise stays below 1.5 degrees Celsius. So this is what India says. So India says that future net zero promises are hollow, as countries responsible for the climate crisis have not delivered on the previous promises. So it is not just one country like India. The other countries have not delivered on the previous promises that they had committed. So India argues that countries clamoring for net zero, clamoring in the sense the countries that are giving a shout out for net zero, will continue to pollute on per capita basis way beyond their fair share. So the pollution of those particular countries has been way beyond their particular share. If you look at the per capita, look at in the basis of per capita pollution that is being caused. So that is the argument of India to give commitment to net zero. So these are the articles of the day. So if you have any questions, you can definitely put in comments box. We will be more than happy to answer to your questions. Thanks for watching. Namaskara.